At least.
Alright, today we are going to start talking about triangles. Okay, this whole next chapter is all about triangles. The first section that we're going to look at today is based on this idea up here at the top. The sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. Okay, all three angles of a triangle always add up to 180, no matter what, every single time. Okay, so to find missing angles in a triangle, we're going to use that idea. So, for example, in this triangle right here, I know that the measure of angle R is 25 degrees. Okay, so we want to get in the habit of setting up an equation like this every time. Okay, so I'm going to say measure of angle R plus the measure of angle S plus the measure of angle T equals 180, and then I can say, well, I know the measure of angle R is 25 degrees. I know the measure of angle S is 35 degrees. I don't know the measure of angle T, and I know all three of those will add to 180. So then, to figure out the measure of angle T, I'm just going to solve this equation. So I can add these two together. 25 and 35 is 60. Then just subtract that 60 to the other side. And we get that the measure of angle T is 120 degrees. Okay. Similar idea over here in example 2. We have two triangles though. In this triangle on the right, I'm missing two angles. In this triangle on the left, I'm just missing one angle. So let's start with this one on the left. Okay, I can say the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus, now since there are multiple angle C's, I'm going to name this angle using 3 letters. Right, so I'm going to call this ACB, measure of angle ACB. I know all three of those will have to add to 180. Well, I know angle A is 58 degrees. I know angle B is 90. And I don't know the measure of angle ACB. Add these together. 58 and 90 is 148. Subtract the 148 over. Get the measure of angle ACB is, what is that, 32? So I know that this angle is 32 degrees now. We're going to have to use some of that information now to come over here to this triangle. If I know this angle is 32 degrees, what can I figure out about this triangle over here? I've got a pair of vertical angles. Right? These two angles are vertical angles. You know vertical angles always have the exact same measure. So if this angle is 32, then this angle is also 32 degrees.
Alright, so do we have to write all that out, or can we just simplify it?
Simplify it out.
I mean, can you just put 90 plus 58 equals 148, and then just use your mind to figure out that angle 1 is 32?
So, I mean, yes, we're just doing simple subtraction here, right?
Do I have to go through all that process, or can I simplify it?
The reason that I want you to go through this process is because we're going to work with variables here in a very short time. So if we get in the habit of writing it out like an equation here, it's not going to be any different when we write it out with variables. Okay? So we're still missing one angle. Okay? Find the measure of this final angle that we're missing. Okay? We can again set up an equation. We can say the measure of angle D plus the measure of angle E plus the measure of angle DCE equals 180. So I don't know the measure of angle D, that's the one that we're trying to find. I know the measure of angle E is 108. I know the measure of angle DCE is 32. Combine my like terms. So 108 and 32 is 140. Subtract the 140 over. And we get that our missing angle is 40 degrees. Okay, so yes, I mean, this does seem like a little bit more work than we need to for a problem like this, right? Where all we're doing is subtracting 180 minus these two to get 32, and subtracting 180 minus these two to get this one, okay? But as we get this process down now, when we added variables, it's not going to be any different. All right. Questions? Do we want to take a look at another couple on the front together, or do we want to try some? All right, let's try some. So down at the bottom here, we've got some exercises where we're just finding the measure of each numbered angle. Okay, so let's take a few minutes and try a couple of these. What's up?
Yeah, big ticket.
I knew I did the first one wrong. I did not know how to do it. And I figured it out.
That's all he's saying, like,
All right, here are our answers for 1 through 6 here. Okay, obviously, there's no work up here, just the answers. So check your answers, and are there any that we want to go through the work for?
Yeah, 4.
Number 4? Okay, let's take a look at number 4. So on this one, we've got 2 triangles, right, and 3 different angles that we need to find. On the triangle on the left here, I only have 1 missing angle. On the one on the right, I have 2 missing angles. So I need to start with the one where I only have 1 missing angle. So I'm basically going to cover this up and just look at this angle. So we set up our equation, and we're saying the measure of angle M plus the measure of angle P plus the measure of angle. Since there are multiple angle Q's, I mean, we could just call it angle 1 instead of angle MQP. So I'll say angle 1 equals 180. So then I know angle M is 66, angle P is 58. I'm solving for angle 1. Add those together. What do we get? 124 plus the measure of angle 1 equals 180. Subtract that 124 over. And we get the measure of angle 1 is 56. So now, if this angle is 56 degrees, that one is 2. Right? The vertical angles are always the same. Then we can set up my other triangle. What's that? N. Well, because these 2 triangles aren't the same. They look pretty close. And I mean, the measures are close, right? 58 and 50 is close. 66 and 74 is close. So they're close. They're almost the same, but not quite. I mean, whenever we have a diagram like this, the only thing that we know for sure is that the vertical angles are the same. These 2 angles and these 2 angles don't necessarily have any relationship. Okay, so then to finish this one out, we can set up the same type of equation over here. We can say the measure of angle N plus the measure of angle O plus the measure of angle NQO equals 180. I just this one plus this one plus this one. So then I know, I don't know the measure of angle N, but I know the measure of angle O is 50, the measure of angle NQO is 56. Add these together. So 106, 6, subtract that over, and we get that that missing angle is 74 degrees. Okay. Any questions on these so far? All right, let's flip over to the back then and throw in some variables.
Oh, I could.
So we're going to use this same idea that all the angles of a triangle add to 180. So for number 1 here, I'm just going to say, well, for number 1, I'm just going to say 35 plus x plus 61 plus 90 equals 180. Right? I'm just adding all 3 angles together, setting that equal to 180. So here I can combine my like terms. 90 and 61 is 151, and 35 would be 186. So I get x plus 186 equals 180. Subtract 186 over. And we just end up with x equals -6. Is that my final answer? Yes, right? The question just says solve for x. So that's my final answer. And I'm just adding all 3 angles together, setting that equal to 180. Okay? You guys try number 2. Okay, number 2 is the same idea. Add the 3 angles together, set that equal to 180. We get -10. Okay, so negative values for x are possible as long as when we plug them back in, we get a positive number for that angle. Okay. Questions so far? All right, let's take a look at the next couple here. These ones look a little bit different. On this one, or on both of these, we start dealing with exterior angles. Okay, an exterior angle of a triangle is just whenever I extend one of the sides out, the angle that's on the outside is called the exterior angle. So, we're still going to ultimately use the idea that all 3 angles inside of a triangle add to 180. But we need to use the exterior angle to first find the interior angle. So if I know that this angle is 110, what's the measure of this angle?
70.
70. How do we know that? Okay, straight line or linear pair has to add to 180. So if we take 180 minus 110, that gets me that this angle inside of the triangle would be 70. What about this one down here? So this one, using that logic, would be 60, right? 180 minus 120 is 60. So now we can set up the same type of thing we did in numbers 1 and 2. Now I can say these three angles.
But
What's up?
you gotta multiply that 10. Or something.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, you're right. So when we set this up, we'll have 70 plus 60 plus 10x equals 180. So add all three angles inside of the triangle together. So then combine my like terms. So 70 and 60 is 130. Subtract the 130 over. Get 10x equals 50. Divide by 10. And x equals 5. So, questions about that one? Okay, and number 4 is similar, okay, but there are a few differences for number 4. Right? Okay, how'd you do it?
I just did, I did it for some of the example, and I just did
10x plus 110 plus 120 equals 180. Oh, you would get -5 doing it that way. And that's just a total coincidence that it works out this way is +5 and that way is -5. So yeah, that way doesn't work. So on number 4 then, okay, we want to use these exterior angles to find all three interior angles. Okay, but they're not going to be the exact same as what we did on number 3. First, how would I find this angle right here?
Right 110.
Wait, say that again? The top angle is 110, right? That is definitely true because here we're given vertical angles. Right, so same idea right here. Vertical angles will be the same. So if this is 110, that's 110. If that's 4x plus 6, that's 4x plus 6. Then,
Oh, wait a minute, no.
right, so now this one is a linear pair. So this one we would do 180 minus 160 to get 20 for this one. Okay, so we're using vertical angles and linear pairs here to find the angles inside of a triangle. Now we can set up our equation. So you guys go ahead and do that. Go ahead and set up your equation here to find x. Yes, sure.
When we have a x squared in the
When we add x plus x, we get 2x.
So 180 minus 130 is 50. So that gives us this right?
I know. Why would I use that?
Here's my number.
Yeah, okay. I got a question.
But we have to figure out what this equals.
I get 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 30 equals 180.
Is that right?
That is, yeah.
Oh, we still have the whole paper?
Yeah.
Look at me.
That was close to a hookup. Genius, smart. I wasn't looking at.
So for this one, I believe we should get x equals 11.
Right here.
Okay. You feeling okay with these?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and try the last two then. Now notice on the last two, the directions say find the measure of angle A. So you will have to go one step further once you get x and plug it back into angle A. Okay, so it's the same process. Add your 3 angles inside the triangle to 180. Then plug it back in to get the measure of angle A.
On this side is the line, right?
Yes.
What's that called? Like against the line or whatever? Isn't that called something?
Adjacent? Is that what you're thinking? 2 angles that are right next to each other? They're called adjacent angles. The answers for numbers 5 and 6 are up here. Okay, I think we should get x equals -8, and then the measure of angle A is 40 for number 5, and x equals -10. Therefore, the measure of angle A is 50 for number 6.